What's up, my fitness family? Brent Kasmer here with BKPT. I have an amazing topic for you. This is the 5 best beginner at home strength training exercises using a barbell. So if you haven't seen my previous 4 videos that I've done, which is the 5 best strength training exercises using kettlebells, using dumbbells, using resistance bands, and also the body weight exercises. So these are all strength-based training exercises, for beginners. Why is it for beginners? This is actually, I do all of these exercises. So it's the foundation. So once you get these ones down right, you can build upon all of this stuff so that way you can keep getting, bigger, stronger, faster. Yeah, right. So, but it's the foundation. So you need to get good at all of them. All right. And I don't know what you have at home. So I want to make sure that you guys have the 5 best. And this is in no order of, number 1 to number 5. It's just these are the exercises. All right. So I'm sure if you've seen the other ones, what qualifies a strength training exercise? So it's when you add resistance against the muscle. So you want to make sure that you understand anytime you add resistance against the muscle, it's a strength training exercise. All right. What makes it the best is when you're doing a compound joint movement versus an isolated joint movement. I know it's too much already, Brent. Turning you off. So compound joint movement just means multiple joints are moving at one time. So say bench pressing. You're bench pressing like this, elbow joint moves, wrist joint moves, shoulder joint moves. So you have lots of muscles engaged, which helps to increase testosterone, your hormones, so that way you're burning the most fat, you're creating the most muscle, and you're burning the most calories as well. So all of those things are important. So the more resistance you add or the more repetitions you add, then the more muscle that you can build. All right? So small little nugget there for you. Please, during this video, show me some love. Give me some likes. Tell me that you're loving this. Also, comment below if there's an exercise that you love that's your favorite barbell exercise, so that way I know what your favorite barbell exercise is, so I can give it a thumbs up and say, you know what, that should have been 1 through 5. I agree. So we're going to start off with everybody's favorite, of course, the bench press. Everyone loves the bench press. Why? Because it's the bench, man. It builds the pecs, builds your chest. Everyone loves having a nice, strong chest. All right? So laying down, you want to make sure that you grab this bar at the same points on both sides. So typically all bars have little notches or whatever you want to call these things. But you want to make sure that on both sides you're grabbing the bar equal. You don't want to ever grab it like this, because then when you pick it up, it's going to be off-centered and you're going to be fighting the whole time to try to just, center the weight and all that type of stuff. So always check to make sure the weights are equal on both sides. Like A, you have the same amount, and B, that it's pushed in all the way on each side. And we're just going to go ahead and pick this up. So when laying down on the bench, you want to make sure that your eyeballs are lined up with the bar, and you're going to pick it up and bring it out across your chest. So when coming down, you want to make sure your elbows are not flared all the way out, that they're tucked up underneath, and you're driving it up. All right, nice and controlled on the way down, driving it up as fast as you can. So in each motion, you want to make sure that you're under control. You're never overextending those shoulders, beyond when your chest is fully extended up, and you never want to just drop the weight down and bounce it off your chest. So that way, you just want to always be under control. So it's just less risk for injury. So that way you decrease your chance of injury. So that way you can just do this forever. That's what you want to do. All right. So barbell bench press. Bars lined up with your eyeballs, equally gripped, and you're bringing it down to your chest. All right. This one's my favorite. All right. We have the hip thrust. So I've done tons of videos on hip thrusts. Just want to make sure you're nice and lined up here. I'll set this down. I mean, there's tons of good barbell exercises, but these are obviously, I feel, the 5 most important. When performing the hip thrust, why? The glute muscles are a giant muscle, your butt, and are very underdeveloped for most people just because of all the sitting that is done nowadays in front of computers and, you know, whatever it is that you do for work, whether you're driving for sales conferences and stuck in a car. Same thing, you want to wiggle the bar so that way it's nice and even when you pull it into you. You want your back nice and tall up against the bench, you know, a flat surface. You want to make sure you're not pushing back. You want to be pushing straight up. So you're going to pull this pad up onto your hips, pulling the bar up onto your hips, and you're just driving this straight up, all right? So feet are directly underneath, your heels are directly underneath your knees, and you're trying to drive the bar higher than your knees. So you want to make sure you're engaged, under control, up, squeeze, feeling those hamstrings. And like I've said in previous videos, you always want to make sure you understand, mentally aware of what you're working. So if you're working your glutes and hamstrings, you want to make sure you're feeling it in the back of your body, back of your legs, back of your hamstrings. You know, you don't want to be feeling it primarily burning up here, all right? So if you are, sometimes it's just a small little movement with your feet, so that way, you know, you're getting it positioned correctly, all right? So number 1 was the bench. Number 2 is the barbell hip thrust. Number 3, what do you think it is? Come on, what do you think it is? Like I said, these are not in any order. All right, the next one is going to be the barbell bent over row. So when getting positioned for the barbell bent over row, when somebody's starting with me, a lot of times I'll have them pick the bar up, get in position, and you want to make sure you keep that back nice and tight, bending over and pulling the bar to you. Never overextending, never like in a jerky motion, and you never want to compromise your spine, all right? So if you have back issues already and you're a beginner and you haven't done this exercise, don't, all right? So when I say back injury, it can be anything, you know? So you just make sure, because you're putting yourself at a highly compromised position here. So you want to make sure you're nice and tight. You know, there's tons of exercises to do to kind of like simulate the same motion. So don't do it. You don't need to be doing this. So this is a great exercise, and this is the barbell bent over row. So picking this up, same thing, hands position outside your shoulders, outside your hips, all the way up. Stay tight. And what you're going to do is hinge that butt back, back's nice and tight, and you're pulling this to you. It's coming primarily, pretty much right to between your belly button and your sternum, all right? So you're getting it right in that gap, squeezing your back, squeezing like your rhomboid scapula area, so that whole middle part of your back, this nice tree trunk foundation. So you want to be building this up, because at the end of the day, this is what does help keep your back strong from getting hurt, all right? But you have to build it into that point. So don't just start off with this if you have injuries and ailments, all right? So the next one we're going to go to is going to be the barbell military press, all right? Well, this is going to be kind of pretty much like a hang cling, but pop. So barbell military press. I'm going to put it up here just so I can kind of explain something to you first. All right, so with the military press, same thing. Arms are at, it's a little narrower than your bench press per se. The reason that is, and you do this sometimes just because of comfortability. So there's comfortability involved with this. If you're too wide, sometimes it feels like it's pulling on your shoulders too hard. And then when I stay in tight right inside my shoulders, I get the best feeling for that shoulder pump also. So same thing, even on both sides, grabbing the bar, walking forward. And this is a military press, it's strict. So straight up, good lockout, control, back down to the chin, right back up, all right? So this is not a push press where you're jerking it up, all right? It's nice and strict. All right, and you see I've been using the same weight, so obviously there's going to be stronger muscles, which the hip thrusts are a way stronger muscle than obviously military presses and bench presses. You need to make sure you understand what weight to use when. Don't get, overzealous with it. Make sure you build up to all of them, especially as a beginner, because you're going to get stronger. There's no doubt. Just be consistent with it. And you're doing all these exercises. You're feeling everything you're supposed to be feeling. You feel your shoulders working when you're working your shoulders. You feel your glutes working when you're working your glutes. So that way everything's done right. Decrease the risk of injury and feel it where you feel it. All right, I know I'm preaching to you, I'm sorry. The last one, but not least, the barbell squat. Woohoo! You hear the applause? You hear it? So, anyways, when a beginner comes in or a new client, the biggest thing with squatting is you do not want to be all over your toes. So squatting forward like this. So a lot of times I'll pull a box up for them. So that way you're sitting back and you can kind of trust not falling over, but you get that positioning where you're sitting on your heels and you're falling into position opposed to trying to mentally make yourself go there. So I strongly encourage putting a box down, doing box squats, but what I'm going to tell you is do not do them out of control, all right? Because if you're falling down and like smashing your tailbone off the box, then you're also compressing your spine, which is a big no-no, all right? So grabbing the bar, centering your body, pinkies, thumbs, fingers, whatever you're using to center yourself. Get up under it. Is there a correct hand position? No. You just want to make sure you're comfortable, all right? So coming out, and typically you wouldn't walk around your whole house with the bar on your shoulders, but I do want to show you, obviously, you want to have a nice, box or bench behind you. So when you do sit down, it could be a chair, whatever it is you have at home, but to the bench, driving up. See how I'm pushing through my heels? My head's nice and tall, my spine's aligned. Tap and go. Don't sit, relax, and shift and come up. We'll make sure everything's one steady motion, all right? So, what have we learned today? I know, the 5 best exercises. But besides that, what did we learn today? Why are these the 5 best? A, it's the foundation. B, you've got multiple joints movement. So what's an isolated joint movement? All right, so it's a better way to describe it. An isolated joint movement is like your barbell curl, all right? One joint is moving. Everything else is strict, tight. One joint, isolated joint. Working one thing, your bicep, okay? How else do you work your bicep is a compound joint movement. So it'd be the bent over row like I just showed you. So bent over row, your wrists are moving because you're pulling it to you. Forearms are engaged, biceps are engaged, and also your giant back muscle is engaged, all right? So hopefully now, okay, I got it. Isolated joint movement, compound joint movement. So that way you understand what it is you're working when you're doing this stuff, all right? My name is Brent, this is BKPT. We have the 5 best beginner at-home strength training exercises using a barbell. Show me some love, give me some likes, subscribe, and I'll see you in that next video.